Oscar is the kind of classiest act in town, and in some ways, he's nearly a classier act than anything you see in Europe, which is impressive. One thing I like about his shows is the way you can see the models like wearing his clothes, even though their clothes, where the audience is largely a much older woman, you can see they feel at ease being that dressed up. Even though when they leave the backstage they're going to put on jeans and a leather jacket, they like the idea of being a very pampered lady. I mean, I thought it was a great display.
The best thing about Oscar is that he has this ability to put a very refined taffeta chic evening gown on his runway for his customers of a certain age, and then he can do a quilted satin ski vest with, you know, an embroidered dress for a younger customer. So I mean, I admire his breadth of demographic. He looks forward, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's able to do it. I mean, he has a long history to draw from, but he clearly is thinking about the here and now.
Oscar, of course, is such a classic. So often his clothes transcend fashion into style. They're often so delicious, they're almost edible. I always think that Oscar totally understands his customer. I just look at those clothes and think, well, he's really thinking about the lifestyle of the person that's going to buy them.
Oscar. It was so great to see this show. It's interesting, we're seeing photo prints everywhere, and many times photo prints with a very modern point of view, but I love how Oscar took the idea of almost a chandelier prism or an antique estate brooch and created it into this beautiful photo print, which is such a perfect way for Oscar to interpret it. Romantic with a modern twist, and then many times layering crystals and big pearls on top of it. I loved all the Nile green as well. I thought the Nile green looked super fresh. There's a lot of really deep, dark green for the fall season, just a hint of blue to it, almost a teal, but not quite, and it was really gorgeous.
I thought Oscar was delicious. It was like being in a candy store. I wanted to eat those clothes. They were so wonderful. The blown up jewel print, the diamante buckles on the shoes, the sequin little booties. It was heavenly. I loved it.
You know, the great thing about Oscar, he is one of the chicest men on 7th Avenue, and honestly, he loves women. He loves to celebrate women, and I think that it's such an important part of being a fashion designer, not only the dream of the runway and creating amazing clothes, but really loving women and loving to celebrate them and making them look beautiful, which ultimately gives them great confidence. And he's very close to his customers. He travels to the stores, he knows who he's dressing, and he always has her in mind when he's creating those gorgeous collections. Amazing evening, as we always expect from Oscar. One of my favorites was just the simplest dress. It had a ribbon detail around the shoulder that just kept close to the body and then flared to a beautiful train. A dress that's definitely going to go from the runway to the red carpet.
For a guy who's going to be 80 this year, he really takes a lot of risks. Embroidering things, making them sort of three-dimensional, using the prints. I mean, you get it in filmmaking that sometimes very old filmmakers suddenly make some very important movies like Akira Kurosawa or Jean Renoir, you know, people like that, but they have a late flourish, which is quite revolutionary. And I always think that about Oscar, that he's in this kind of Zen-like moment where he's actually pushing the thing, you know what I mean? And he's not sort of hemmed in by his own DNA.
Well, he's an icon for a reason. He'll be turning out beautiful gowns and day looks and looks that women want to wear to every occasion possible for a really long time, I hope.